All right, welcome to the channel. My name is Mike Gaudette, and today I have some top tier content for you. I think you are really going to appreciate this. To me, videos like these are really what make YouTube special. And this is a pretty old video, as you can see, 14 years ago. So this is one of those kind of hidden gems on YouTube that probably got a decent amount of views when it first came out, but it's probably not going to be popping up in your algorithm. So that's where I come in. I got to share this stuff with the world because this is some really incredible stuff. So this is an interview with Kurt Rosenwinkel, who is probably my number one favorite living jazz guitar player. As far as all time, he would definitely make the top 5, if not maybe even the top 3. Absolutely spectacular player. And he's getting interviewed at this jazz festival in France by this woman who also seems like a very nice person, but there's some obvious miscommunications that are going to be happening and just, questions that are not coming out the right way. And it really it keeps getting worse and worse as it goes on. And it's so unbelievably funny. I think you're really going to appreciate this. And this was from 2009. And I went to school for jazz guitar from 2009 to 2013. And you could see how that turned out. I'm making videos like this. So obviously all of that education went to a really good place. And the reason I bring that up is when I was in college, these were me and my friends' favorite types of videos to watch. After, a night of partying, this would be the perfect nightcap. You just put something like this on and you just laugh your head off. And hopefully you will do the same when you see this. So we have a lot of stuff we're going to have to break down and talk about, but let's start right from the beginning just to kind of establish the tone. And then, we'll explain a few things and we'll just get right into it. So here we go.
Kurt Rosenwinkel, you don't speak French?
No, I don't. Sorry. Un petit peu.
Un petit peu.
Very little. Yeah, very little. Tiny bit.
I saw you during the concert. You were back of the sun. It was not very warm for you?
It was a little warm, but it's okay.
All right, that's a good start. Kurt is starting to chuckle a little bit, do a little smile. He sees where this is going. So she started out by asking him if he spoke French, and he said just a little bit. He did a little French phrase, and then she brought up how he was facing the back of the sun, I guess from where he was playing on stage, and she asked him how the weather was. So nice little icebreaker. Now, this next question is really funny because she just asks him about the weather, and then she does a complete non sequitur into something else, almost speaking as if it has something to do with the weather. And you tell me what you think, but let's watch that again.
Of the sun. It was not very warm for you?
It was a little warm, but it's okay.
You don't feel anything when you are playing, don't you?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Sorry to stop again. That's great. So now, you're going to see this happen a little bit more throughout the interview. Kurt just kind of agrees with whatever she says just to, make the interview less awkward and come off nice, which is an effective way to kind of handle stuff like this. But obviously you feel things when you play. I mean, if you have arthritis, it's not like you suddenly start playing guitar and all of that pain goes away. But appreciate Kurt's effort to really try to lighten the mood and just make this as painless as possible. So here comes the non sequitur after she says you don't feel anything when you're playing. So watch this.
When you are playing, don't you?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And why do you have, is it a part of your look, the hat?
Yeah, I've always worn hats, so I just love hats, so I wear them.
All right, so you're starting to get a feel for how this interview is going to go. But I just love the way that hat question gets brought up because she asks him about the weather, if it wasn't too hot for him. And then she goes, you don't feel anything when you're playing, right? And Kurt goes, yep, that's right. And then she goes, so is it, a part of your look? Like, have you always worn a hat? Just completely out of nowhere. Maybe the hat thing has something to do with the weather and, being in the shade, but I don't even know if it's going that deep. Maybe I'm thinking into it too much, but for the other people that are going to be studying this alongside me, let me know what you think in the comments. But I love that. We get another little chuckle from Kurt. I appreciate the little chuckles. He's obviously finding the humor in this. And Kurt Rosenwinkel does seem like a pretty funny guy. I remember during COVID when he was doing those master classes, some of the ads for those were hysterical. So I'm willing to bet he has probably gone back and watched this interview multiple times and laughed at it. He seems like the type of guy that would have kind of a dry, awkward sort of sense of humor like a Nathan Fielder or Tim and Eric. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he would enjoy this. All right, let's keep going. We just talked about the hats. Let's see what else is on the menu.
I've always worn hats, so I just love hats, so I wear them.
That's a great phrase. I've always loved hats, so I wear them. That needs to be quoted somewhere. Let's keep going.
So you are a guitarist, but a compositor too.
Yes, yes.
And what we heard were your compositions.
No, we were playing all standards.
All right, this is also really good. We got to rewind this. Every single question and every single facial feature from Kurt really needs to be broken down in its minutia. So she points out that he's a guitar player and also a composer, and then she asks him if everything that they just played were his own compositions, and they weren't. They were jazz standards. This is the Kurt Rosenwinkel Standards Trio, which is phenomenal. So now Kurt is going to have to explain to her what a jazz standard is, and the camera zooms in on his face while he's doing this, which is just, could not have zoomed in at a better spot. The awkwardness is really starting to, develop and build, and now he's got to explain what a standard is, and you can just see on his face, he's like, oh my God, where are we going with this? So let's really study this right now.
And what we heard were your compositions.
No, we were playing all standards today, all jazz standards. Yeah. So this project is a standards trio. So we don't play any of my songs.
You don't improvise.
Well, yeah.
The great follow-up question. So he explains what jazz standards are. You could tell he's starting to struggle with this. Poor Kurt. And then her follow-up question is, you don't improvise? Which is a highly suspicious question to ask as somebody who is doing an interview at a jazz festival. Like, I would assume that she has something to do with jazz if she's interviewing somebody at this festival. But to ask a jazz musician if they improvise or not, that's like, jazz is like 90% improvisation. So maybe she's somebody from like a local news channel that got sent over, but I don't know. That part was really suspicious to me. But so let's see how Kurt reacts to this. That's a tough question to answer. You don't improvise? Like, what do you even say to that?
Songs.
You don't improvise.
Well, yeah, we improvise on the jazz standards, yeah. Like in a traditional jazz context, We play the tunes and we improvise on the tunes.
So what we heard today, it was improvisations.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
I love the little nod at the end. He's like, he can finally catch his breath. He goes, we've arrived at some sort of understanding. Watch that little feeling of relief when she realizes that he improvises.
Yeah,
sorry,
totally.
Wait, can't miss it, sorry.
Tunes and we improvise on the tunes.
So what we heard today, it was improvisations.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
All right, good. All right, let's see where we go after this. We got a couple minutes left, and then it kind of levels out halfway through. But we're really getting to the meat of it right now.
Because it was very melodic.
Well, thank you.
And a very traditional jazz too. What are your influences?
So really subtle thing right there, but I just love the fact that Kurt is at a point now where he's basically just going to nod along and agree with anything she says just to make the interview as painless as possible, because she goes, it's very traditional jazz. When, that might not even be true. A lot of the stuff he does in the Standards Trio is, Wayne Shorter stuff and stuff that would not be considered traditional, but he's not even going to attempt to explain to her what post-bop and all of that sort of music is. So he's just going to nod along and be like, yeah, I'm doing a lot of traditional stuff. Yeah. And then she asks what his influences are. I like his answer to this. This is going to be a serious note of the video because he actually says some really good stuff. But we'll get back into the fun in a minute, so don't you worry.
A very traditional jazz too.
Very traditional.
What are your influences?
Bud Powell and Charlie Parker and Max Roach and Miles Davis, Booker Little and Elmo Hope, Sonny Rollins, who's sitting right over there, and Joe Henderson. And
a lot of good names that he mentioned right there. And he mentioned a variety of different instruments. I don't know if you noticed that. He started with Bud Powell, piano, and then he does Charlie Parker. He mentions trumpet, saxophone. Love the shout out to Booker Little. Booker Little is an incredibly underrated trumpet player who died super young. I think he was only 23, but highly recommend checking him out. He was so ahead of his years as a musician. Like I said, this is going to be a little serious. Don't worry, we're going to get back to the silliness in a second. And then Elmo Hope, which is another very underrated piano player, does not get the recognition that a lot of the other piano players of that time did. So appreciate Kurt's answer. Now, I love her follow-up to this. So he just named all these great influences, and listen to what she says.
So a lot of influences, but always the same style.
So I like that because it's actually a pretty good question, but the way it was asked was just very funny. She could have just said, do you have any influences that are not jazz? But instead she just assumes. She goes, but always the same style? Which again is probably just an honest miscommunication. I'm not trying to nitpick this, but again, this is such an incredible, funny, and awkward interview that really every single phrase just has to be broken down and analyzed. So now Kurt's going to mention some of his non-jazz influences, which is another answer I really appreciate. Let's see what he says.
No, I mean, I've been influenced by a lot of different artists from all over the world. You know, I've been very influenced by flamenco music and by, classical composers like Ravel and Shostakovich and Chopin, and a lot of different kinds of music, from hip hop to what I just mentioned, and but mostly jazz. But a lot of music.
Okay, so first off, I would love to see Kurt Rosenwinkel's hip-hop playlist. That's something that we need to be made public on Spotify as soon as possible, because I'm sure there's a lot of great stuff on that. Just would love to know what kind of hip-hop he listens to. And I love the fact that he mentioned Ravel. That's one of my favorite classical composers, and originally when I started this channel, it was mostly to share videos of my 2 guitar arrangements to different Ravel pieces. But if anybody is a jazz musician and is interested in getting into classical, I think Ravel is a great gateway into classical music, because that particular type of classical, that late 1800s, early 1900s French Impressionism, does have a lot of jazz harmonies and a lot of voicings and stuff that can be utilized in a jazz context. So I think it's great that he mentions that. And one other quick thing about Shostakovich, I went through a period of reading a bunch of biographies on different classical musicians, and probably the craziest music book I have ever written is a book titled Symphony for the City of the Dead, which is about Shostakovich and what it was like being a composer in Stalin's Russia. It is one of the craziest books I've ever read. So that's a book recommendation. All right, that's the last for the serious stuff. The rest of the video is just going to be, really where it starts to go completely off the rails. Now, this is the best part. So fasten your seatbelts.
And to play.
Sorry, I gotta rewind. You gotta hear exactly what she. This is the best question of the entire interview. Listen to this. We're gonna rewind it. Tell me what you think she asks him.
But mostly jazz, but a lot of music,
You pretend to play modern jazz?
What?
So Kurt's reaction right there is how everybody watching this video probably just felt. So what do you think she said right there? Think it over in your head. You're not wrong. She asked him, do you pretend to play modern jazz? Which is one of the greatest questions you could ever ask a jazz musician. Again, that's something that needs to be in quotations and framed somewhere. So watch the way Kurt handles this. This is like this, now we've gotten to a fire that Kurt just cannot put out. He can't just nod along and say yes. He needs to figure some way out of this. So let's see how he deals with this.
You pretend to play modern jazz?
What?
You pretend to play modern jazz?
Well, I don't.
Classical jazz.
I play modern jazz, I suppose you would say. Yeah.
So not a bad cover up. He technically still did agree with her. He said yeah at the end of it, but he goes, I play modern jazz. Yeah. Not bad. He's handling himself pretty well. This would be a very difficult interview under these circumstances, so I do commend him for his performance. And he's providing some good content as well. It's not just the woman. I think they're working off of one another in a very funny way. If they had like a podcast together, I would 100% listen to that every single episode. All right, I think we have a little bit left. This next part, believe it or not, this is where she finally breaks Kurt. She asks him this question, which to me is nothing crazy in comparison to everything else that she's asked up to this point, but something about this question you'll see in Kurt's face. This one gets to him, so let's watch this.
Yeah.
And I saw your face during you were playing. You are deep inside the music. Do you dream when you play? What do you think when you play?
Yes.
A little smirk, and then he has to catch his breath and all right, we're going to get into this now. Watch that one more time.
You were playing, you are deep inside the music. Do you dream when you play? What do you think when you play?
Yes. Well, you know, sometimes I do remember dreams when I'm playing.
That's pretty deep.
Sometimes, you know, sometimes I'm thinking of feelings or thinking of people. You know, I was thinking of Bud Powell a lot when I was playing just there, and just visualizing Bud playing piano and I don't know. It just makes me play better. You know.
That was a pretty profound answer, actually, that he does remember dreams, which is pretty intense in itself. And then thinking about different people while you're playing, that is a really cool thing that I should try to start doing more, although that does seem like a lot of multitasking when you watch Kurt play all this crazy stuff. And then to think he's also, you know, thinking about Bud Powell on top of it. I'm joking, obviously, to a certain extent. But that was a pretty cool answer on his part. You know, I think he took something that he found a little bit off-putting at first, and he turned it into a good answer. I think we have one little thing left, and then it kind of levels out. Let's see what she says here.
That one thing, you know, and then I, you know, try to get in touch with what I refer to as just the universe, you know, the spirit and the feelings that are around.
Very deep.
So.
Good man.
Yeah.
I could see it on your face.
Oh. Okay.
You were in connection.
Yeah.
All right, that was the climax right there. So Kurt's just at a loss for words. He just has to do a little smirk and go, okay. That's the face of a man that has been completely defeated by the interviewer. He tried his best. He tried to keep up. He tried to nod along in agreement and say things that could do a little damage control for the sloppy questioning. But right there, he's just like, you know what? I give up. I'm at a loss.
It on your face.
Oh. Okay.
You were in.
All right, let's leave it right there. That's a great freeze frame to leave it on. Really incredible stuff. There's still a couple of minutes left, but they kind of it just kind of, you know, stops at that point. She asks him about living in Germany, and then the rest of it is pretty normal. But that first half that's like some of the best jazz interview content that you can find on YouTube, in my opinion. And like I said, deep in the archives. So I want to bring this video back to life and share it with all of the people that may have missed it. So that is our video for today. I hope it was enjoyable. And please feel free to check out some of my lesson videos. I am actually a jazz guitar player. I'm not just you know, commenting on videos like this all the time, as I'm sure most people who follow my channel are aware of by now. But if you want to check out some of my lesson videos or any of my album review videos, they are all linked in the comments and the description. So be sure to check those out. And stay tuned for the next reaction video. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you soon. Take care.